This is an Ellis Mowers and More small engine vlog. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. On today's vlog, we're just going to keep things simple. I know that for a lot of regular watchers of the channel and for those who are knowledgeable about these mowers, that this is probably going to be a very elementary video. However, there are a lot of individuals who do not know the basic operations of a lawnmower. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have skill sets wherever, and it may not be your skill set. However, grass grows. You may own a property that needs a riding mower. You may have just bought one. It may look like this. These are, I'm going to give you a tutorial on the Craftsman riding lawnmowers, lawn tractors, the LT series that were made from the 90s all the way up until really recently, actually, up until about maybe 8 to 10 years ago, around 2015, 2016 or so. There's still variants and iterations of them out there, just not really many new ones anymore. However, let me go ahead and just give you all a little bit of a synopsis on these Craftsman mowers, how to operate them, just the basic functions of them, so that you know how to run it when you get home. Thank you all for watching. If you are new to the channel, please feel free to like and subscribe. And if you like lawnmower content, feel free to do it as well. Let's get into it, and I'll show you some of the basic operations of this Craftsman lawn tractor. Now, yours may not look like this exactly. It may be green, it may be red, it may be a dark gray. However, the functions are going to be the same. There are a couple of small differences I'll show y'all later in the video. However, I do just want to show y'all essentially how to operate one of these, just in case you don't. So, we've gotten to, your basic functions. If you drive a car, you're kind of familiar with gas, brake, and all that stuff. But parking brake. So, a lot of people think that you have to be sitting on the seat to start it. You do not. There is a parking brake on the left side here. When it is up like this, it will not start. The only thing that allows these mowers to start is you have to have the parking brake down, just like this. You latch the parking brake up right here. As you have it pushed down, it stays latched up. Or you can just push the brake down to start it. You don't have to latch it. Now, the other thing that has to be down is the blades. See, it will not start whenever you have the blades up, because there's a switch right down there that has to be closed in order for it to start. Now, you turn the key on. This is a 4-function key, so this is the start. You'll start it right here, and that's the only thing you have to do in order to start it. Now, there's 4-function keys here. So remember, blades off, park brake on. You don't have to be sitting on the seat. It will start. 4-function keys, depending on your machine, this may be a headlights position. This will allow the mower to run, however the headlights will turn on. You may have one that's like this, where you have a separate switch, and then the 4th thing on the key switch here is actually a mow in reverse. So you can start it, turn it on, and then move it to here, and then this switch right here, and this is only on the later ones made after about 2003, have this little switch that makes contact with some wires that, if you don't have it in the reverse position, will not allow you to mow in reverse. You just put the key in that position. You can leave it in that position the whole time you're cutting grass, and you're good to go. So, that's the basic functions of how to start it. Now, mower deck wise, we'll go over here, and this is your height. adjustment. So you can go from 1 to 6. Usually, most people are going to cut grass a little bit higher, probably on anywhere between 3 and 5. You don't want to scalp your grass. So usually I'll cut mine anywhere between 4 and 6 a lot of times. And so that just literally moves the deck up and down, up and down. Easy to go. Some of them, if you have a really old one, will not have a 1 through a 6 here, but you'll have a knob that sticks out right here. What you can do is twist that knob left or right, and then you let it down, and that gives you the height that you can cut your deck, or cut your grass with. So that's kind of the tutorial on the mower deck. Transmissions, you have 2 different types. One of them is a, you may see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on here. And I may be able to show you a couple of different iterations here in just a second. This one is a hydrostatic transmission. And a lot of times people have the misconception and they drive this like a gear drive transmission, and they'll put it all the way forward, let off the brake, and the thing just jolts forward. After you start it and let off the brake, this hydrostatic transmission, if you keep it in neutral, it will not go anywhere. As long as you have the brake off, you can slowly push this pedal forward, or push this lever forward. The further you push it forward, the faster it'll go. And when you want to stop, just pull it back and it'll stop. Same thing for reverse. You don't have to hit the brake or anything like that. It's a really easy way to drive these hydrostatic transmissions. Obviously, it's not going to move unless you have the engine on, which I'll show you here in just a second. Now on the rear here, you pull this out, and you are supposed to be able to move this tractor freely. If you want to drive it, you have to pull it and push this in order to drive the tractor. So if you need to push it, and this diagram is perfect for what it means. If this is in, then you're in the drive mode. If you pull it out, then you are able to push it. So that's pretty simple. Now, there are a couple of different things when it comes to starting it, cold starting the engine. And we'll get into the engine here in just a second. But if you cold start the engine, cold start means pretty much the first time you're going to start it for the day, or if it's really cold outside, right? So this one has already been warmed up. However, what I like to do is use 2 hands to start it, and I'll crank it. When I crank it up, there's a slot here. Now the slot that's in the throttle cable right there, if you can't see it, there it is. You'll definitely be able to feel it. That is your mowing speed. Now a lot of people are like, well, if I run it at lower RPM, it'll run cooler, right? No. Air-cooled engines run cooler at higher RPMs because they are moving air around. They like run at about 3,000 RPM or so. Maybe a little bit higher or a little bit lower depending on the RPMs that they're set at. Now this one has, if you push it above, is the choke. Now a lot of times what I like to do, and you can see this arm get pushed in right here for the choke, right? It didn't retract on me that time, but you see that right there is the choke. Some of them you're going to have a little lever to pull out, especially if you have a twin cylinder engine, a separate choke lever that is going to be right around there. But when you first start it cold, I usually like starting it in the full throttle position. As you're starting it, let it crank for about 3 or 4 seconds and then pop up the choke. It should catch, and then you bring the choke back down and you're good to go. So I'll show you. So that's the choke, right? I pull it back down. And then to lower the throttle, you just lower it like that, and it should run just like so. And then obviously to turn off the mower, you just turn the key off. Now, whenever you have the mower running, we'll crank it back up again. This is the blade engagement. You do have to be sitting on the seat in order to let the park brake off. And as you can wants to shut off, right? Get back on the seat, it'll stay running. Same thing with the blades. You just turn the blades on. And then you turn them off. It's a mechanical blade engage. Same thing, if you let up off the seat with the blades on, whether or not the parking brake's on or not, the seat is going, or the mower will kill the spark and it will end up dying. So now I'll turn it off. I've shown you all the basic functions of that, right? Now you kind of need to know basic maintenance. So we'll cover that here in the next clip. So now it's time to cover basic maintenance on one of these. Now, we'll start with the engine. Yours is going to either have a Briggs & Stratton or a Kohler in it. I'll show you a couple of different variants here. But you're going to have an air filter, an oil dipstick. That's where you check your oil. These single cylinders usually take between a 1.25 and 1.5 quarts of oil. This is your fuel line running up to the fuel tank. Fuel filter, fuel shutoff switch. Your mower will have a fuel filter. Somebody may have put a shutoff switch on it, just kind of depends. And then the fuel line that runs between it. Carburetor. This little solenoid on the bottom here is it's called an anti-backfire solenoid. Sometimes these will go out and they will not allow fuel into the carb bowl or into the jet in order for it to run. That also shuts off whenever you turn the mower off so that it doesn't produce a very large bang through the muffler. You can cut it off, but we won't get into that. This is your starter. This starts the mower up. Starter wire goes in here. These two bolts will get on the other side. I'll show you the starter solenoid that's hiding up underneath here. Right there. And you got a couple wires running to it, and that just shows you, or that is part of all the safety switches and stuff on it. So on the inside of the hood, especially if you have a later model of one of these, it will give you all of the part numbers for any of the common parts that you may have to buy for this machine. It says oil capacity, key, spark plug, air filter, all that stuff for the part numbers. This is not the original engine on this machine, but still, if you have one that had the engine swapped, you can find, especially Briggs & Stratton, you can find a date code sticker right either here, valve cover, somewhere. Kohler's should have a sticker on the side. And so that's pretty much it in terms of under the hood, what you need to do. I recommend checking the oil every time you mow. These things will use and or maybe leak a little bit of oil, and you don't want to be caught off guard. Looking up underneath here, you got a mower deck belt right there. The transmission belt is hanging a little bit further up there. You can feel up there just to see if it's cracked or whatnot. Just see the condition overall of that belt. As you can see, I just replaced this one, getting it ready for sale. Now, if you find that your mower deck is cutting unlevel, it could be one of three things really, but one of the main things could be one of your blades is bent. So just look at your blades. The other thing is the mower could be off level. Now here is your adjustment point for the side to side for the mower deck. There's one on the other side as well. You just have to put two items that are equidistant. A lot of times I put oil filter boxes up underneath the mower deck because you can't always go by the actual height of the deck, because this may be a little bit lower than the other side because the blades sit up a little bit higher. And so I try and do something on level ground like a garage floor to level the blades. And a lot of times I'll do that on 5 or 6, just the highest that I can get up there. So, and then the other one could be the actual spindle mounts are bent and it won't cut level. But you'll notice that because it's cutting uneven in the middle. And if it's not a bent blade, then it's that. But overall, that's pretty much the basic functions of one of these machines. Hopefully this gives you a good idea if that's what you came here for, because there are a lot of people that don't really know. And one other important thing on these machines is underneath the bottom here of the seat, this is your seat safety switch. Sometimes your seat safety switch is going to be embedded in the seat if you have a later model machine. Here's your battery, negative and positive, and then your model number is right here, this 917 number. What you can do is you can take this model number right here, plug it into a search, and you can get parts manuals, parts diagrams if you need parts for it. They're pretty readily available. And then your serial number, if you want to determine how new the machine is, this is the first 6 numbers of the serial number are the date. So 10804 means that this machine was built October 8th of 2004. Now to check and see if your engine is, or to see if your engine is possibly the original engine, you can also go under here, and like I said, you can look at the valve cover, or you can look on the top of the shroud here, depending on the age of the machine. And as you can tell, for the Briggs & Stratton, that's your model number, but for your code here, and this will be the same no matter where it's located, your code, the first 2 digits in the code are the year this was made. So this engine was made in 97. It was made June 19th of 1997. So that's another way, like if you're looking for one of these machines, you can tell maybe if the engine's been swapped. I'll be upfront about this one when it comes to the age of the machine whenever I go and sell it. But just be aware, see if your model number, your serial number is close to the serial number of your engine. Usually they can be upwards of a year to a year and a half difference, depending on when the engines and when the mowers were made, because the engines are literally put onto the mowers. Before we end this video, I do want to show you another variant of this machine where I was talking about different transmissions, different ways of starting. So back in my mower junkyard here, I just want to show you, here's another variant of what I'm talking about. Although it says Southern States on it, you can look. Gear shift is on the side here, blade engage is on the dash. It has all the similar functions, key switch, park brake of the other engine, or of the other machine, like the Craftsman that I just showed you, just in a different paint color and a different brand. The Craftsman made a lot of different brands. You can see I've got a lot of machines here in the back. But another one here is this Craftsman, and this is the one I was going to mention to y'all. So again, the gear drive, you have to you know, push the clutch in, change the gears from reverse to 1 through 6. Sometimes your gears are going to be in the middle, depending on the age of the mower as well. This one's got a V-twin engine on them. A lot of your twin cylinder engines, I know it's got a rat's nest in it, which is one of those items that I've got to get to. But a lot of these are going to have a choke where I showed you. So you'll pull the throttle all the way up like this, and then as you're starting, you'll pull the choke out. This is your amp meter. Some of them have an amp meter. Shows you if the battery is charging. It's usually going to be anywhere between 0 and about halfway, unless it's really charging the battery. If it's just maintaining the battery, it'll be just over 0. So again, same mower, just different color. Blade engage on the dash, shifter on the side, clutch on the left over there, throttle. It's the same setup, right? Model number and stuff is underneath here. This one actually has the gas tank in the back as opposed to the gas tank in the front. So your model may have a battery right here, just like this one, instead of a gas tank, or it could have a gas tank and the battery in the back. It just depends. Here's another example, Poland Pro. You can see similar setup as the Craftsman I just showed you. Gears on the side, choke lever right there, throttle, blade engage with the yellow ball on it. There's your park brake. Last example I'll show you, here's an Ariens. This is a newer version of this same machine pretty much. You have, again, your park brake. It's just orange. Gear shift, blade engage, throttle, deck height adjust lever. So I just want to show you all of the different variants that you might see this mower as, just in case you may not think that your mower is similar to the original gray Craftsman that I showed you. So that's pretty much everything on the tutorial as to these Craftsman lawn tractors. Again, they're made by either AYP or Husqvarna. They could be as new as like early 2020s. They could be as old as really the early 90s and look somewhat similar and have still similar functionality as this machine right here. So if you are new to riding lawnmowers, if you needed a good tutorial about it, hopefully this was a good tutorial for y'all. I really do appreciate y'all watching if y'all have made it this far, and I hope that this helps you when it comes to operating your riding lawnmower that is one of these Craftsmans. Thanks again for watching this vlog. Hopefully y'all found it informative and helpful, and I will catch y'all on the next video.